folks are definitely confused in Canada because articles, different institutions, they're giving these graphs, these articles, people are reading, and we will read them, right? And I want your opinion on this. The forecast from 2026, 7 and onwards, is it going to be exactly how they're forecasting it? And these are the big fish of the industry. I will read it out loud. And then we'll talk about the actual pay, right? Like the earnings, right? Like I have it here on the monitor. I will, zoom it in and we'll kind of talk about that and we'll see where we're at. Are you at this particular intersection? Does it actually make sense, right? And then we'll talk about unemployment since it is rising, right? So I have top 10 cities in Ontario that we will kind of share and talk about, right? And how they're affecting people's budgets and people's feel about the entire real estate. So let's get into it. So CREA, Canadian Real Estate Association, housing forecasting for 2026 and 2027. So the prices of national average of 2026 is now expecting to increase by 1.5% increase, which means up. National registered sales for 2026 are now projected to rebound by only 1% compared to 2025, right? And what we see on the street is a completely different feel because people are being hesitant, people are asking questions, people are holding to their budgets, right? But in a nutshell, CREA is claiming the prices will continue to rise. Now we get to Royal LePage housing forecast. So prices in Q4 2026 will see a 1.5 increase year over year to over $700,000, right? And a single detached price are projected to increase by 2%. And this is Royal LePage brokerage. So they're claiming the trend will switch now and people will start buying these homes in bulk or whatever, right? So RE/MAX housing forecast. In 2026, national homes prices will decrease by 3.7%. Average national home sales outlook is for a 3.4% increase. This is for RE/MAX. CMHC housing forecast highlights for 2026 and 2027. Home prices are projected to increase by 2.6% in 2026 and then remain flat up to a 2.7 rise in 2027. So sales are projected to increase by 4% in 2026, but in 27 face a range of decline by 1%. You see what I'm trying to explain here? Like 3-4 different big fish in the bowl are kind of saying the same story, but not really the same story, right? So BMO, so forecast to 2029. Prices valued it to underappreciated heights during the pandemic only to decline sharply as interest rates rose. So we know that. Price gains in 2026 will remain limited despite showing mild recovery. Home prices are expected to recover to peak levels by 2029. Okay, hold on a second. So to peak level, which means from 2021, beginning of 2022, the peak, it's 2029, which means the prices will increase by 20%. Do you believe that? And that's 3 years, which means, by 7% on average, they will increase to 2029 to hit, peak to peak levels, which would be only like 7 years from peak to peak. Historically, it would take much, much longer than a decade, sometimes even 2 decades until they reach peak to peak, depending on the city and the town. So I have no idea what's going on, but this is what they are saying or predicting it will be. So TD, so 2026 and 2027 prices. In 2026, national average home prices are forecasted to drop by 0.3% and rise by 2.7% in 2027. 2027, right? So national residential sales in 2026 are expected to decline by 1.8%, and in 2027 rise by 9.6%. Do you guys hear the swing here? Like, it's nuts. So RBC are claiming nationally home prices are expected to decrease by 0.7% and rebound by 7.9% for 2026 as projected. Trends, labor market, reduced immigration, affordability challenges will be limited the pace of growth. Now, so when we summarize all of that stuff, I mean, like, you see where the swings are coming from, and then you have YouTubers, you have us saying what we see on the street, we see the battles, we see the first-hand battles, and we see what's going on, and people are suffocating, struggling, they cannot move, they're buried in debt up to here, right? Like businesses are not doing well. In my last video, I mentioned speaking to a restaurant owner, investor. He couldn't believe that he lost so much business in a short period of time, right? So you see how things are kind of like there are two songs playing at the same time, depending which one you want to hear. But that's not only the catch. The catch is that some people are in a different position than others, right? Maybe inheritance got in the way, right? Parents pass away, they move on, they leave stuff for the next generation in some cases, and then that is absorbed for the new generation lifestyle, right? But now we have seen the ups and downs, which we have not seen in a long time, for decades in Canada. Now we have seen it. Some people have experienced it very severely, extremely. And then people tell me, so what's the market like? Well, look, the market for some people declined by 20%. But for other people, it declined by 50% because they lost on pre-construction condominiums. They had other issues. They had businesses that flopped. Not every business survives. You guys know that, right? So all of that stuff. But let's get into the income here. So on the board right here, we see a $300,000 gross annual income with monthly debt payments of $2,000. So I took $2,000 for, cell phone bills, maybe car payments and stuff like that, right? Maybe some school loans. So I took a $2,000 chunk, which is reasonable, I would say, for a $300,000 gross income. But when we calculate all of that, like I also added the $400 for a heating bill and a $7,000 annual taxes on a property, they can qualify for $1,049,000, which is an average house price in Toronto GTA, right? So let's take that into consideration. Question number one, how many households make a $300,000 gross? That's number one. Number two, let's say they do. They have a business, their own business, and they claim that they generate $300,000 gross annual income, which is completely fine. But what is left? Because some of these businesses need expenses, not some, most, all of them, right? They need expenses. So what is really left and how can they really qualify? And walking into a bank, if you open up a business, if you have your own business, they're not that easy about all of that qualifications, especially nowadays. So, but think about it, $300,000, just over $1 million. But let's get to $200,000. We're gonna leave the payments at $2,000 for all that stuff, the heating bill for $400. It drops to maximum mortgage of $561,000. So we had $300,000, $1,050,000, and then $200,000 gross income. You just dropped by half, by almost 50%. But let's make this interesting and let's go to $100,000, right? So gross annual income of $100,000, and let me stop you right there. An average income for Canada is $67,000. And most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not everyone makes these six figures income, okay? So $100,000 gross annual income with $1,000 of monthly debt. So I reduced it a little bit, and I reduced that bill, heating bill, to $200,000, and that annual taxes to $3,000. So the qualification is at $286,000. So most folks make around that figure. They make around, $120,000. So they only qualify for barely $300,000 at this point. And this is like being almost debt free, like free, clean as a whistle almost, right? Because most people need a car, so they need that payment. Like it's hard to kind of do anything without a vehicle. So let's get to the actual top 10 cities by unemployment rate. So London, Ontario is leading by 9.1%, Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, Barrie at 8.5, Windsor, same 8.5, Toronto 8.1, Naomi, BC, which is 7.9%, Oshawa, Belleville, and Kelowna in British Columbia. So this was Canada. And you see that some parts, especially here in Ontario, we have seen that we have London, Ontario, which is kind of on its own along that 401, has its own kind of economy. We have seen these prices in London, Ontario skyrocket, crazy. Like these prices for detached homes, whether they were nice or not good, whatever. I'm not getting into the whole quality, the look and all of that stuff. But guys, like people were paying over a $1.5 million, 1.516 for a detached home in Ontario, right? So everything was fine when the party and the lights were on. Everything seemed to be doing great. But now things are shifting, and we know that Cambridge, Waterloo, and Kitchener is another tri-city that's having issues on its own. Having said that, London, Ontario, St. Thomas, just south of that, Volkswagen promised that they will open a big, huge factory for electric vehicles. So I have no idea if that came to fruition. I think that plan did not see the day of light. So that's another kick for that St. Thomas, London area. And like just overall, we lost a lot of that automotive industry. We're losing construction. We're losing a lot of it. And for so many years, what we have done, we sold real estate amongst each other for a higher price until we hit the ceiling. And then some, I would say, boards or situations on our board have changed, that the game changed, and how we played the game and how expensive we played. And obviously, a lot of people went bankrupt. They went belly up. So I don't know, please comment below. Let me know what you think, because people need some real stories, like from comments, like two songs at the same time. Like people don't know, like I have emails come to my inbox every single day. And they're like, well, they said, and the big fish said, and then you're saying this in the camera, like many others on YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but like this is what I feel and see and know, and bankruptcy and this and that, and people losing left, right, and center. People are choking, and then the news comes out like on the mainstream media. They're like, guys, what are you talking about? Everything is just fine. Anyways, let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.